Hello, and welcome to Wired, Episode 3. In this week's episode, I will be telling you about fire safety for landlords, what your responsibilities are as a landlord, and what you as a tenant should expect from your landlord. Just the same as any employer, landlords have certain obligations when it comes to the fire safety and security of their properties, and a duty to their tenants. However, it is not as simple as ensuring that there are a few fire extinguishers on site. Fire safety, as you heard about in Podcast 1, where we discussed fire risk assessments, depends on the potential risks and the different types of buildings, and this can create confusion. Also, as mentioned in Podcast 1, legislation requires that landlords carry out fire risk assessments in all areas of their properties. The law now states that private sector landlords since 1st of October 2015 are now required to have at least one smoke alarm installed on every storey of their properties, and a carbon monoxide alarm in any room containing a solid fuel burning appliance, for example, coal fires or wood burning stoves. After that, the landlord must ensure that the alarms are in working order at the beginning of each new tenancy. Fire safety is potentially even more important when in a building that is a mixed-use premises and where occupiers who live independently from one another have common areas. Legislation states, this area of law is covered by the Housing Act 2004 and the Smoke and Carbon Monoxide Alarm England Regulations 2015, inside the dwelling and for the common areas, the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order 2005. As you now know, all landlords have legal obligations as required to fire safety. Again, legislation. At the very least, you should ensure that there is a suitable means of escape in case of fire, and landlords of shared and houses in multiple occupation, or HMO properties, will have additional obligations both under the Regulatory Reform Fire Safety Order 2005, Smoke and Carbon Monoxide Alarm England Regulations 2015, and the Housing Act 2004. All of this fire safety legislation creates an entity known as the responsible person. So if you are the owner, manager, agent, or even own a flat within a block, you will need to check if you are the responsible person. Additionally, if you're a tenant in a residence, you should know who the responsible person is for your residency. The responsible person has to act without a prompt or direction from any enforcement authority. As in health and safety legislation, ignorance is no defence for non-compliance. So make sure if you are a landlord or the responsible person that you take appropriate measures to protect your tenants and yourself legally. If you fail to remain compliant, then a number of things can happen. At first, you may be sent an advice letter telling you ways in which you can and should improve the fire safety of your premises. This can be followed or replaced by a minor deficiencies letter that will outline what the issues are in the building, if they are of concern enough to take some sort of prompt action but not severe enough to require an action plan. Finally, an action plan can be implemented by the Fire and Rescue Authority. This can include an enforcement of prohibition notice. Failure to comply with any of these notices could lead to unlimited fines or even a prison sentence. You should never let the situation at your premises reach these kind of levels. So make sure that you ensure you're compliant before moving into a premises or moving tenants into a site. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you'd like to find out any more information on the subjects covered today, please visit www.jproservices.co.uk and continue to be safe in our hands.